Welcome to Zaylingam Media. We bring you the stories that matter to the people of the hills, stories of identity, struggle and hope. Today, we explore a crucial development in the ongoing peace process between the Government of India and the Kuki-Zo people, a moment that could redefine justice and coexistence in the northeast. Centre, Kuki-Zo So'o Group's open talks on Union Territory demand. New Delhi, November 7, 2025. In what is being seen as a major step forward in the Kuki-Zo peace process, the Ministry of Home Affairs and the leaders of the Kuki-Zo armed groups under the Suspension of Operation Agreement have held 2 days of detailed and constructive talks in the national capital. The talks, held on November 6 and 7, revolved around the Kuki-Zo community's long-standing aspiration for a union territory with a legislative assembly, a demand deeply rooted in historical experience, constitutional reasoning, and the quest for equitable governance. Representatives from the Government of India were led by A.K. Misra, advisor for Northeast Affairs, while the Kuki National Organisation and the United People's Front, the two umbrella bodies representing various Kuki-Zo groups, led the tribal side. The discussions covered both political and humanitarian dimensions, including land rights, traditional tribal governance, rehabilitation of internally displaced persons, and the restoration of peace in conflict-torn hill districts. According to the joint press release issued by KNO and UPF, the first day of talks focused on the implementation of the tripartite agreement signed on September 4 among the Ministry of Home Affairs, the Government of Manipur, and the So'o groups. This agreement laid the groundwork for peace restoration and administrative normalization in the Kuki-Zo inhabited districts, many of which have suffered from 2 years of intense ethnic unrest. On the second day, the delegations shifted focus to the community's political aspirations. The Kuki-Zo leaders reiterated that their demand for a union territory with its own legislative assembly is neither secessionist nor unconstitutional. Instead, they framed it as a constitutional restoration of governance in accordance with the unique history and administrative legacy of the hills. They reminded the centre that the Kuki-Zo hills were never under the direct control of the Manipur State Durbar before independence and were classified as excluded areas under the Government of India Act of 1935. These territories, they emphasised, were governed through indigenous systems of self-rule led by hereditary village chiefs, representing a form of governance that predated modern Manipur. The delegation further pointed out that the Constitution of India provides flexibility and recognition for such distinct tribal administrative systems through the 6th Schedule and other special provisions. Therefore, they argued, the creation of a union territory with a legislative framework is not an act of division, but an act of constitutional alignment with historical realities and tribal rights. A.K. Misra, representing the Government of India, assured the delegations that New Delhi remains sensitive to the concerns and aspirations of the Kuki-Zo people. However, he noted that the central government's current policy does not support the creation of new union territories at this stage. He underlined that any administrative change would require wider consultations with other communities in Manipur. Despite these constraints, the tone of the talks remained positive. The Kuki-Zo representatives urged the centre to review its policy in light of the deteriorating ground realities and to recognise that coexistence between communities has become practically impossible in the current socio-political context. They appealed for the invocation of appropriate constitutional provisions to ensure security, equality, and the preservation of Kuki-Zo identity and territory. The meetings also touched on pressing humanitarian issues, including the rehabilitation of internally displaced persons, the restoration of destroyed villages, and the protection of tribal land and forest rights. The delegations emphasized that peace cannot return to Manipur without addressing the root causes of displacement and insecurity faced by thousands of tribal families. Both sides agreed to maintain ongoing dialogue, confidence-building measures, and cooperation for a peaceful, inclusive, and lasting resolution. The conclusion of these talks has been viewed as a sign of hope, a signal that the centre is at least willing to listen to the legitimate grievances of a community that has endured repeated cycles of violence, neglect, and marginalization. Historical land of the Kukis. To understand the current demand for a union territory, one must first understand the historical and cultural roots of the Kuki-Zo people and their relationship with their land. The Kuki-Zo tribes are one of the oldest indigenous communities of the Indo-Myanmar frontier, inhabiting the hill ranges that stretch from the Chindwin River in Myanmar to the Barak Valley and Churachandpur in present-day Manipur. Their land, often referred to in oral tradition and community memory as Zalingam, meaning land of freedom, was not a product of colonial demarcation, but an organic homeland shaped by migration, culture and kinship. Every village had its own chief, every hill had its guardian spirit, and every clan was tied by language, bloodline and respect for customary law. When the British arrived in the late 19th century, they encountered a society with its own deeply rooted systems of governance, land ownership and justice. The British colonial administration classified these areas as unadministered or excluded areas, precisely because they were outside the control of the Manipur king and operated under their own indigenous order. During the Anglo-Kuki War of 1917 to 1919, the Kuki tribes resisted British intrusion in one of the most organised uprisings ever seen in the northeast. The British faced fierce resistance from over 100 Kuki villages united under the leadership of traditional chiefs. For nearly 2 years, the Kukis held the British at bay, fighting with courage, unity, and a clear sense of sovereignty over their hills. Even after the war ended, the Kuki territory was never fully integrated under any local princely rule. It remained culturally and politically distinct, a status that continued well into the 20th century. When India gained independence in 1947, the integration of the hill tribes into Manipur was done without proper consultation or recognition of their traditional autonomy. This lack of recognition has continued to fuel grievances among the Kuki-Zo people, who view their present struggle as a continuation of their historical resistance to domination and assimilation, first by colonial forces, later by the state structures that replaced them. Kuki legitimate right over ancestral lands. The demand for a union territory today arises not from ambition, but from necessity. The Kukis argue that the constitutional and moral legitimacy of their claim stems from both historical fact and lived experience. For centuries, the Kuki-Zo people governed their own villages through customary laws under the authority of village chiefs. Land was communally owned, and its stewardship was guided by ancestral duty, not private profit. This system ensured social equality, environmental balance, and cultural continuity. But over the decades, successive governments have attempted to erode this structure through centralization, land laws, and policies that disregard customary ownership. The state's interference in tribal forest and land rights, combined with political marginalization, has deepened the sense of dispossession. From the violent ethnic cleansing carried out by the NSCNIM during the 1990s to the 2023 conflict, marked by Meitei militancy and hate propaganda, the Kuki-Zo community has faced repeated threats to its survival. These waves of violence have led to thousands being displaced from their ancestral villages, homes burned, and lands forcibly taken. It is in this context that the call for a separate administrative arrangement, a union territory, must be understood. It is not a demand to divide India, but a plea to protect the constitutional promise of justice and equality for all. The community's argument is built upon 3 pillars: history, law, and reality. Historically, the Kukis were never under the jurisdiction of Manipur before independence. Legally, the Constitution of India recognizes the distinct identity and governance of tribal communities. In reality, the events since May 2023 have made peaceful coexistence impossible under the current administrative structure. Furthermore, the Kukis' contributions to India's freedom movement cannot be overlooked. During the Second World War, 188 Kukis joined the Indian National Army under the leadership of Subhash Chandra Bose. Their participation was not driven by coercion, but by belief, the belief that India's freedom should include freedom for the hills. Therefore, when the Kuki-Zo leaders speak of a union territory, they speak of self-preservation within the Union of India. They are not rejecting India, they are asking India to remember its promise. They are asking for the recognition that every hill, every forest, every village chief represents a piece of the country's plural democracy. The right to ancestral land is a matter of identity. The Kuki-Zo people do not see land as a commodity, they see it as the living connection between past and future. Every displacement, every destroyed village is a wound in that continuity. Restoration of governance and security in these hills is not just about administration, it is about healing that wound. The continued labeling of the Kuki-Zo tribes as illegal settlers by sections of the Meitei leadership reflects a deeper crisis of understanding. History and records show that the Kukis have inhabited these hills for centuries. The narrative of illegality is therefore a political invention, one designed to delegitimize tribal ownership and pave the way for territorial expansion. It is in this light that the Kuki-Zo demand for a union territory becomes not only a political necessity, but a moral imperative. It seeks to safeguard a civilization that has endured colonization, war, and modern displacement. It stands as a call for coexistence through justice, not through suppression. Conclusion and analysis. The two-day talks in New Delhi may not have resulted in immediate administrative change, but they have reopened a door that was long thought to be closed. For the first time in years, the centre is openly engaging with the Kuki-Zo leadership on their constitutional rights and historical position. This represents an opportunity for India to address one of its most neglected tribal questions through dialogue rather than force. If peace in Manipur is to be lasting, it must be built on truth and justice. Ignoring the historical and cultural realities of the Kuki-Zo people has only deepened the conflict. Recognizing their identity, governance system, and territorial integrity is not a concession, it is the foundation for reconciliation. The Kuki-Zo people have demonstrated time and again that they are not against India. They have fought for it, lived by its laws, and contributed to its defense. What they seek now is dignity, protection, and a share in governance that reflects their history. As this new round of dialogue unfolds, the world watches to see whether the government of India will rise above politics to uphold the constitutional vision of unity in diversity. The outcome of these talks could shape the future of Manipur's hills and redefine India's approach to tribal autonomy in the northeast. Sources: 1. Power Corridor Bureau Report, November 8, 2025. 2. Ministry of Home Affairs, Northeast Affairs Desk. 3. KNO and UPF Joint Press Release. 4. Archival records of the Anglo-Kuki War, 1917–1919. 5. INA historical accounts and tribal archives. Disclaimer from Zailingam Media about the analysis. This analysis is based on verified reports, historical records, and public documents. The interpretation and commentary represent the editorial analysis of Zailingam Media and are intended solely for educational and informational purposes. Zailingam Media does not promote any armed organization, political entity, or act of violence. Our goal is to promote understanding, peace, and awareness of the historical and political issues affecting indigenous communities in northeast India. Disclaimer on use of videos and visuals. Some visual materials used in this video or publication may include news footage, archival images, and publicly available clips that are the property of their respective owners. Zailingam Media makes no claim of ownership over such materials. All third-party visuals are used under fair use guidelines for educational and informational purposes only. Subscribe to Zailingam Media. If you value truthful reporting and historical awareness, subscribe to Zailingam Media. Join our journey as we continue to bring the stories of the hills, stories of courage, justice, and identity. Your support helps keep independent journalism alive and gives voice to communities that history too often forgets.
Solam